Gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Tierney, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hicks, let me start by acknowledging how riveting your testimony was of the events of that day and evening, and thanking you for your service and your activity, for sharing with us all the brave acts that occurred that night. I don't think we've heard enough of that. And I think it's important for the American people to know how many individuals, both in Tripoli and in Libya, responded so very well and bravely on that. So thank you for sharing that and for your service as well. We have an important responsibility here, and that is to ensure that whatever happened that night and whatever we learned from what could have been done better actually gets fixed. And I think that's a legitimate process for this committee to do. I hope we move on that basis. I know that we had accountability review boards set up immediately in the wake of all of this, and they were rather harsh in their determination on that. And in fact, they made some 29 different recommendations on that, and we should be finding out whether or not the Secretary of State and the Department are implementing those recommendations and how expeditiously. And I hope that at some point we can get to that, which I think would be the appropriate role for the government. And I know that two of the three witnesses here this morning actually spoke with the Accountability Review Board, and the third certainly knew of his right to speak and chose not to contact them for whatever reason on that. But earlier this week, I think disturbingly, the chairman went on to national television and actually accused the administration of deliberately misleading the American people about the attacks in Benghazi. For somebody that's earned the term of being a whopper, making a statement of a whopper and 4 Pinocchios, it's a little bit shocking to think that that kind of a statement would be made without any apparent backup. The basis for the extreme charge were apparently statements made by Ambassador Rice on news shows the Sunday after the attacks. And the comments were allegedly that talking points were provided by the intelligence community were supposedly manipulated for political purposes. What was quoted by the chairman at that TV show is, "Clearly the American public was deliberately misled," said the whopper, "and it was a political decision," close quote. Mr. Hicks, you told our investigators that you weren't involved with the drafting of those talking points. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Nordstrom, you weren't involved either. Is that correct?
No, I was not.
And Mr. Thompson, you also were not involved. Is that right?
Yes, Congressman, but however, I offered my services to the ARB, and I did not try to keep myself out of that process, just for the record.
Good. Thank you. And we know that there were conflicting reports about what happened, including a statement by a Libyan official that there had been a demonstration and some eyewitness accounts of that protest. But, Mr. Hicks, we know that you didn't believe that there was a protest. You believed that it was otherwise, and we know that the President of Libya also contradicted with that statement on that. But the intelligence community insisted it received initial reporting suggesting there was a demonstration. We know that the reporting was wrong. Now we know that. But the mention of a demonstration was put into talking points by the Intelligence Committee, not the White House or the State Department. So I want to play a little video here, if we can, of General Clapper, where he specifically addresses the attacks on Ambassador Rice. We have that queued up.
And when she was highly criticized for following them, what was your feeling inside? Your own personal belief. Did you think it was fair that she be criticized?
Well, I thought it was unfair because the hits she took, I didn't think that was appropriate, and she was going on what we had given her, and that was our collective best judgment at the time as to what should have been said.
Thank you.
So General Clapper says that he thinks the attacks on Ambassador Rice were unfair. She was using exactly what the intelligence community gave her. Mr. Hicks, do you have an argument with his veracity when he made those statements?
There was no report from the U.S. mission in Libya of a demonstration.
But the difficult question I have for you, because you're good enough to come forward, is do you contest the General Clapper's veracity? Is he lying, or is he telling the truth of what information he gave Ambassador Rice?
I don't know anything about the development of those talking points.
So, look, we haven't investigated this issue yet. It would be interesting to know, but the House Intelligence Committee has. They got all of the draft talking points. They got the briefings and testimony from CIA officials. According to Adam Schiff, one of the representatives that's on and part of that investigation, he said, I quote, "General Petraeus, the former head of the CIA, made it clear that the change was made to protect classified sources of information, not to spin it, not to politicize it, and it wasn't done at the direction of the White House. And we might, as an aside, we might be interested in protecting classified information because we've had situations where people in the majority have gone to Libya and come back and had a real flare-up about what they disclosed concerning classified information. But in addition, there was a bipartisan report issued by Senator Lieberman and Senator Collins that similarly stated, and I quote, "No changes were made for political reasons, and there was no attempt to mislead the American people about what happened in Benghazi." So people who have actually seen the documents, who have actually conducted a real investigation, completely reject the allegation that they were made for political purposes or to deliberately mislead the American people. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Tierney.